Joining me here in the studio is international fashion stylist Michael Black. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Joanna. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How was Fashion Week, by the way?
Fashion Week was a blur. It was a lot of fun, really fast-paced, chaotic, but as always, it was worth it. It's the best time of year for me.
I can imagine. I covered Fashion Week last week. It was definitely very rewarding. Lots of celebrities, lots of Canadian designers. Let's get straight into your career. How did you first realize you wanted to get into the fashion industry?
Well, it's interesting you ask. I actually started in retail when I was in high school at 15, and it was more of a way of making money, but I was really good at creating outfits and selling them. And so I continued to do that throughout university. And then one day I had an opportunity to join someone on a photo shoot, and I had this moment of an epiphany on set where I just fell in love with everything regarding a photo shoot, and I had so much fun, and since then it's just been my passion.
For sure. Well, you've been in the industry for over 15 years. Let's chat about major celebrities that you've actually worked with or brands.
Well, let's start with Vogue. Vogue was a major monument in my career. That was a couple of years ago. I was fortunate enough to do a photo shoot here in Toronto with an Italian photographer for Vogue Italia. And within probably 6 days, I was published, and it was kind of like a dream come true.
Wow, that's fantastic. Take me back. How did you feel when you first got that gig? That's major.
I was excited, and it was a lot of fun, and I felt pressured, of course. But, you ride the wave, and it was worth it. But I do remember that when I got the phone call saying I was published, I literally burst into tears on the street. It was such a moment for me.
I can imagine, definitely. How would you describe, your fashion sense? Because you definitely are very fashion-forward.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I would say that I'm known for being dapper. I do have a habit of wearing a lot of suits, a lot of loafers. I love my crisp white dress shirts. But, day to day and on my own time, I'm very clean and simple. I'm known for white Converse, a white tee, and some sort of a ball-man leather jacket. That's kind of like the Michael Black uniform.
For sure. It's very sexy, but very trendy and classy. Let's talk about Fashion Week. You mentioned you attended this year's Fashion Week and, of course, last year as well. And I want to know a little bit more. What did you take away from the trends that you will predict that's happening for next spring across Canada? What do you think is going to be happening and trending?
You know what? It's really interesting. A lot of fringe and kind of like 70s throwbacks are coming into fashion this spring. There's going to be feathered ends. I noticed a lot of textural fabrics. On the polar side, there's also a lot of light and sleek fabrics. Some fabrics have a little bit of a sheen to them. So lots of lace. It's kind of like a conglomerate. Anything goes this season. But definitely, if there was one piece I suggest that the ladies pick up, it's something with a fringe.
Fabulous. Do you think a fringe would look good on me?
I definitely think a fringe would look great on you.
Oh, fabulous. Let's talk about Canadian designers. Who's your favorite Canadian designer?
Hands down, Michael D.
And why?
He is this phenomenon. He does these wonderful gowns and couture and dresses. He has this amazing attention to detail, and he always comes up with these opulent, luxurious fashion shows that just... it kind of sets the stand. He stands apart from the rest of the designers in Canada, let alone North America.
Michael, take me back also. You travel across Canada. You traveled around the world, okay? What is your favorite spot, the West Coast or East Coast, would you say?
I love the East Coast, but I have to say I do love the West Coast, where I was born and raised. There's a small little island just off the coast of West Vancouver. It's this beautiful little tranquil place. It's very peaceful. There's lots of beaches, there's lakes, there's greenery. Whenever I'm back in the West Coast, I always try to do my best to make an effort to go to the island just for a little bit of a break. Brings me back down to reality.
For sure. I love the West Coast too. It's either or for me. I was just in the West Coast. I was in Yukon too, in BC. I love Alberta, but you know what? Nothing beats Toronto. But I do love the West Coast. What is the hottest destination spot to go to in Canada if you had to pick?
I would have to say Toronto. Toronto's kind of the mecca of everything. We have the fashion industry, we have the financial industries. It's close to Europe. It's right beside New York. It's It's the place to be. I think everyone should, if they're starting up a business or definitely if they're going to be in the fashion industry, start off in Toronto and see where it takes you.
Any advice for any aspiring fashion stylists that want to get into this business? What kind of advice would you give?
I always say work on your portfolio, and with that comes free labor. You have to work for free. If not, you're not going to create the opportunities. If you work hard and you're persistent and you're patient, it will all pay off in the end.
Fantastic, Michael Black. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
You're tuning into Spotlight with Joanna Luna.